You know, when you stop to think of it, even a builder doesn't build a building unless he has a plan, unless he's worked out the details. So let's just kick back for a moment and think of the greatness of God.
Yeah.
And his eternal salvation.
Right.
And the fact that he created in order that he might show his glory in redemption. So let's go back in time.
Let's look at what Paul says.
I'm in the 8th chapter of the book of Romans, and it says God works all things for the good of those who love him. But I'm skipping to verse 29. For those whom he foreknew. Now I want to warn those who are watching. There are 5 important verbs here that are linked together in a chain. And I'm going to explain these verbs. And what you're going to find is they do begin, as John indicated, in eternity past, and they go all the way to eternity future.
And this is the plan that Paul is laying out.
Right. It says, for those whom he foreknew, he also predestinated. So let's take this slowly.
Yeah, let's talk
To
about
foreknow,
Yeah.
to foreknow doesn't just mean to know ahead of time. Obviously, God knows all things ahead of time. But he says in the Old Testament regarding Israel, only you have I known from all the families of the earth. Well, doesn't God know everything? Of course. What it means is to forelove. That's why some translations there in the Old Testament say, only you have I chosen. So if you're saved today, and at the end of this broadcast, we're going to invite others to get saved.
That's right.
But if you're saved today, you were loved from before the foundation of the world. And then the second word is predestinated. And that word basically means what it indicates. To predestinate means to plan ahead of time. It was sometimes used of surveyors who wanted to have a city built, like Washington, D.C., that was laid out in terms of its avenues and its streets. It was laid out ahead of time. God predestined you to be conformed. It says, he foreknew, he predestinated to be conformed to the image of his Son. That's God's purpose. If you wonder what God is doing in your life, he is conforming you to the image of Christ. And that's why life is so hard and so difficult, is because he wants to use trials to shape us and to increase our faith. And then it says, in order that he might be the firstborn among many brothers, that is, we should be like Christ, that he, that is Jesus, might be the firstborn among many brothers. And those whom he predestinated, he called. Now, we have 2 big words. Those whom he foreknew, he predestinated, he called them. That's the calling by which you receive Christ as Savior. For me, it happened at the age of 14, when I knew that I was called by God, and I responded to that call. So that happens in time. And then he goes on to talk about the future. And those whom he called, he justified. We talked about that in a previous program.
Right.
That justification means that God declares us to be righteous. And then this is breathtaking. Those whom he justified, he glorified. Imagine, in God's mind, John, you're already glorified.
That's right.
It's a done deal.
Which means he's taking me to heaven.
Right. It takes us from eternity past to eternity future.
Right.
Now let's look at these verses again. First of all, God is always the subject.
Right.
God does this. He predestines, he calls, he justifies, he glorifies. And then the other exciting thing is it's all in the past tense.
Right.
You know, it's already done. Even the word glorified. Well, you and I know that we're not glorified yet.
Right.
We could check with our wives and they would certainly agree with
Right.
that. But the fact is, God says, in my mind, you are glorified. Now, here's the exciting thing for those believers who doubt. Notice that the same group that he began with, namely, those whom he foreknew, is the very same group that he ended with, namely, those whom he also glorified. And so what you have is this unbreakable chain of events that brought us to salvation, and will keep us all the way home.